All right, welcome to the BlackBox Interview. Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. How are you doing?
I'm very well.
I always feel like I need to call your name in full.
How did you say it again?
Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie.
Adichie.
Adichie. So we're going to get to the surname, but let me start with the first name now. And I remember one of your very first, I don't know if it was an interview or a comment I saw somewhere where you were very vehemently opposed to anybody shortening your name to Chima or Amanda or anything of that sort. Why?
Because I don't like it. And actually, it's a long story, which I don't want to tell you now. So, because I made up the name.
You were not named Chimamanda?
No, I invented Chimamanda. I created Chimamanda.
Wait. Your parents didn't name you Chimamanda? You're kidding me.
No, I'm not kidding you.
Is this the first time I'm hearing this?
Yes, because I haven't talked about it.
When did you invent this name? No, sorry. I'm sorry. This is like an aha. No,
but it's true.
I'm actually shook.
Yep, it's true. So, and the reason I think I decided to talk about it because, you know, when we say that culture doesn't change.
Yeah.
Do you know how many young people in Igbo land are called Chimamanda today?
There's a plethora of, I have like, off the top of my head, I can think of 6 right now who I know.
There you go.
So I'm wondering, so when did this happen? You don't have to tell me.
It happened shortly before my first novel was published. So, I don't want to tell you this story, please. No need.
You don't have to go too deep. No, because I think it's interesting, because considering how popular the name is now.
Yes.
It's interesting to see that you actually came up with that.
Yes.
Because I always wondered, how did your parents in the 70s think of this cool?
Because there's something very sort of the moment about the name, right? You can't imagine parents in 1977.
Exactly. It keeps me up at night. I'm not going to kid you.
Okay, so you know what? So I was born Ngozi Grace.
Your mom is Grace?
My mother is Grace.
Okay, my mom is Grace too, but go on.
Really? And so growing up, I always felt that I wasn't Grace. Grace was my mother, right? And Ngozi felt to me too common. And so even though it was the name, so in primary school, I was Ngozi. And then being Catholic, one of the joys of Catholicism is you get to choose a name when you get confirmed, right?
Yeah.
So I thought, what name will I choose? And the priest said, it has to be the name of a saint. So people were just choosing ridiculous names like Bernadette. I was like, nope. So what did I choose? I read a novel, and there's a character called Amanda. So I was like, my name is Amanda. The priest said, it is not a saint's name. I said, Father, that's the name.
That is my name.
So I sort of pushed, and they let me. So I was Amanda at confirmation, right? And then, so I was Amanda from secondary school, and then to first year of university in Nsukka when I was studying medicine. And then I went to the US. And I think it was sort of maybe, I'm going to say a month into my time in the US. I was in class in undergrad, and there were 5 people with that name, Amanda.
It was not so unique anymore.
But it wasn't just that. It was the way it was pronounced. Amanda? Amanda, do you want to tell me what you're doing? And I thought, what the hell? This is so not me, right? It just felt, and I suddenly realized, no, I can't. And so I started thinking, how can I now change? So remember that I had already changed myself from Ngozi to Amanda. So I started thinking, how can I change it? So for a while, I would merge both. I would call myself Amanda Ngozi because I really wanted to let them know I'm not Amanda.
Yeah, you're not one of them.
Yes. and also it was a learning experience for me because the kind of thing you think is cool in Nigeria, suddenly I thought this is nonsense, right? Wanting an English name, so stupid. So I'm sort of struggling with this thing, calling myself Amanda Ngozi. And then just before my novel was published, I remember thinking, and I remember exactly where I was when it came to me. And I'm not a person who's given to this kind of Pentecostal talk, but it felt like a revelation. It really did. I was in my brother's house in England, in the tiny guest room, lying on a narrow bed, thinking about my novel is going to be published. And I don't want to be introduced to the world.
As Amanda Adichie.
Yes. And I'm sitting there thinking, and I wanted an Igbo name. But I didn't want Ngozi because I didn't feel like Ngozi. Ngozi felt too common. And Ngozi I think is a lovely name.
I mean, the meaning is great.
Yes. But it's so common I didn't feel like me. And I remember just lying there and it just came to me. Chimamanda. And it helped that, and by the way, when I was thinking about a name, it wasn't, obviously I could have just picked an Igbo name, but I wanted a name that had Amanda in it.
Yes.
So that I wouldn't have to change my passport and my, no, because I already had this identity. I had a passport with that name. I had a driver's license with that name. I had bank accounts with, so it was really about me thinking, how can I hold on to this name, but then make it Igbo?
I'm so blown away by this entire story. And I'm also quite relieved because I just kept thinking,
you're wondering why your parents did not come up with a name for you. And my father, God bless him, once some years ago, somebody was saying to him, Prof, that name is such a fine name. How did you come up with it? My father, who is just like he's a congenital truth teller, starts saying, no, we did not. And I was like, Daddy, don't tell them.
Don't reveal this.
And I'll tell you why. The reason I didn't want to talk about it, and I'm only talking about it now because I've actually decided to write about it, is because I wanted to give it time to have its own legitimacy. Yeah. Had I started talking about it very early on, it would have been very easy to dismiss, right? But in some ways, it feels it's legitimate now because half of the kids being born in Igbo land have been named Chimamanda. So
honestly, I'm impressed.
So whoever says that we cannot change culture, we can.
And the meaning is also very profound, which is my God will never fail or never fall. And it just makes a lot of sense, which is why the name is also popular, because it's cool. Yes. You can make it into whatever you want, but its meaning is also quite interesting. Yes. But if you were Amanda before Chimamanda, why then did you not want to be called Amanda? Still, told you. Yeah, you just didn't like the way it was.
I don't want to have an English name.
Okay.
I no longer want to have an English name. I have seen the light, and no, and which is also why I don't like to have my name shortened. Yeah. So that's really the story. Yeah. I don't. When people say, can we call you Amanda? I'm like, no, you cannot.
Were you ever worried about the mispronunciations? No, because you were going to be a writer.
No, because I think really for me the only thing that matters is that a person makes a genuine effort. Yeah. That people who are, language is such an interesting thing. There are names that I want to pronounce properly and I don't, but I try. And so when people say, "Oh, I don't want to use as Nigerians I want to, native name,"
yes,
because they will mispronounce it. Yeah, those are just so. And I think, but if they do, that's fine, as long as there's a genuine effort to try and say it properly. It's still your name and you own it. I don't think that that's a reason to back away from your name because there's a potential of somebody mispronouncing it. It doesn't make sense to me.
How did your parents feel about that?
About my new name? Well, they were fine with it. I was very fortunate. I have the coolest parents. I think they probably thought, another name, because she says she's now Amanda, and now some years later she's now something else. And my darling father, it took him a while, but in public he would refer to me as Chimamanda, and then at some point it became very natural. So actually, if you asked my relatives now, it's perfectly natural now. Maybe 15 years ago, maybe not, but now. I'm Chimamanda.
Do they all call you Chimamanda now?
No, I have a nickname. I have a name that my loved ones call me, which I will not tell you, so don't bother asking me.
Not Chimamanda, not Ngozi.
No, neither of those.
Not Chima, not Amanda. I'm
Chima
just trying.
So annoying. And some people
shout out to all the Chimas out there.
No. Chima. There's some people who sort of want to pretend that they're close to me, and then they're like, Chima.
Do you get Chichi?
I can't take Chichi. However, I actually call people Chichi. I say this because I imagine some of my friends watching this and saying, you don't like Chichi. Are you not the one that calls me Chichi?
And you were talking about Adichie, the surname, the pronunciation.
Adichie.
What does that mean?
It's a short version of Madu Adichie.
Okay.
So, the idea of the idea of continuity. A person dies, a person is replaced. Okay. And, I guess also maybe it's about reincarnation. Yeah. So, yes. Adichie.
I mean, because both your names have a tendency to be mispronounced.
Yes.
Chimamanda.
Yes.
Adichie. Does it bother you?
No. It doesn't, because again, I mean, the world is not full of Igbo speakers. Yeah. And people try, right? And that's really what matters. Trust me, there are names that I mispronounce all the time. So, no, it doesn't bother me.
Yeah. I also get a lot of sort of official things I see where the Ngozi is not there.
Really?
Yeah. And it happened for a phase. I almost thought it was something deliberate from you.
No. In everything I write, I put the Ngozi in because when I made the decision, when Chimamanda came to me in that revelation while lying on that bed, I also made the decision not to abandon Ngozi, because while it's a name that doesn't feel like me, it's also the name that I sort of navigated my early years with. And I don't want to deny that.
Yeah.
So it was important to me to fit that in. And I remember when I started, when I sent it to my agent and I said, this is how I want my name to appear. She's like, it's a bit of a mouthful. And I said, it is.
And here we are now, with everybody saying the name. Very well done. Very well done. I think Flavor has a song with that name as a title. Was it for you? Did he ever tell you?
We need to ask him. He did not tell me.
But you're friendly with him. At
yes.
least. Did he ever say anything about it being about you?
No, he didn't.
Do you think it's about you?
I don't think that.
You claim it.
No, I don't actually think about it.
Yeah. But did you like the song? So what songs do you listen to on a? Because we know Chimamanda writes. Chimamanda is, wins a gazillion awards every other week. Writes amazing books. But I've always wondered, what do you do outside of all of these things?
You mean those things are not enough?
I mean, we see that as your work. So when you are sitting and thinking of a new name for yourself, what sort of? Let's talk about music for one. For starters, what do you listen to when you're just chilling?
Okay, I have a confession to make, which is that I'm not very keen on music in general. Right? I think that I belong to a generation of people who really love music. I'm not one of those. So in secondary school, when my friends would memorize all the lyrics of, so let me tell you what my generation was. Mariah Carey, and some of the rap, I just wasn't interested. I didn't know the lyrics.
You didn't care for it.
It just wasn't my thing.
Yeah.
So now there are times when music for me is noise, especially when I'm walking. So I have writer friends who need to have music on when they're walking because they really need to. I'm the entire opposite. It's noise to me. And when I'm trying to hear myself think, when I'm not necessarily writing, music is noise. But then when I'm walking out, I need music. Otherwise, I won't finish the workout. What do I listen to? Do you mean Nigerians?
Let's start with that.
Flavor.
Okay.
Fino. I think Fino really is one of the... And in some ways, it seems to me that there's a genius to him that's not really appreciated as much as it should be.
I agree.
Yeah, he's. I think he's the real deal. So I like Fino. I like more Fino's sort of neo high life is what I would say he does. Right. So it's sort of high life that he
contemporary.
Yes, that he's infused things into, because he's also he's a rapper, and rap is not really my thing.
Yeah.
So the other let's see, who else do I? Omaumi. I think is wonderfully talented. Waje, I think, has the most glorious voice.
100%.
Yep. Falano, I think, is multi-talented. Really like her work. See, I'm going to forget somebody that... So, whenever I'm asked this, also when I'm asked about books, the minute I leave the interview, I'm like, I did not talk about that writer that I love. But in general, I think I like... Umo Bilibo. I love them. Absolutely love them.
They are really good.
Yes.
They are really good.
And there is, I think, an originality to them. Yeah. I mean, they're coming from a tradition, obviously, of high life, Obilibo, right? Yeah. But I think there's something about their refusal to, what's the word? I was going to say, there's a refusal in they're doing what they want to do.
Yeah.
And it might not be the coolest thing. And I admire that very much.
But they're making it cool, which is what?
It might not be the coolest thing for the average thinker, because it is
what we call mainstream.
Yes, it's fantastically cool.
Yeah.
So I really like that song, Culture.
Yeah. Let's not go there.
You don't want to talk about that. I give you money, you collect them. Also, I'm a terrible singer. But older, so Onyeka Onwenu I adore.
Yeah.
I grew up listening to her. My mother loved Onyeka Onwenu, so sort of her songs bring back my childhood for me.
Because you got played a lot at home.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
On the stereo, and in the same way that Osita Osadebe was played quite a bit.
I think that was every Igbo home.
Yes.
Yeah.
And my brother Chooks likes, and because of him, I kind of, it's familiar. Oh, I'll tell you who I love. I love Celestine Okwu.
Okay.
I think he's a philosopher. He's actually, just really listening to him.
Yeah.
I used to hate flying. I used to be scared of flying.
Okay.
And so because I had this kind of fatalism in my system, I would get on a plane. Celestine Okwu has a song about death, where it's sort of Owabo Lili, Onye Nocha Ona, which is, we're here for a short time, you can just go anytime. And and as the plane is taking off, I'm listening to Owabo Lili.
Like, this is the worst thing to talk
about. I'm like, if it's going to happen, let it happen while Celestine is telling us. I don't do that anymore. I'm over my fear of flying, but he's important to me because of that. But so I absolutely adore. There's some non-Nigerian.
Yeah, internationally, I was going to ask about that.
So lately, I've really been listening to a lot of Florence and the Machine.
Ooh,
yes, very much. Good. Love her. I have worshipped Annie Lennox for a long time. Everybody knows about Mississippi. God damn! Who's that?
You tell me.
It's your assignment, Ibuka. You should know her. I won't tell you, but she's the love of my life when it comes to music.
So do you listen to these to relax or while you're writing?
No. Ibuka, you're not listening to my answers.
Yeah.
I said when I'm writing, music is noise.
Yeah.
You've forgotten that.
No, so basically it's just when you want to go off.
When I'm walking out, when I have friends there, when I have a dinner party.
Yeah.
But no, to be very honest, I'm just not a person for whom music is. When I want to relax, I read. I read the things I love. And you're laughing, and I don't know how to feel about that.
No, because so reading is not a bad thing. But I was asking about relaxing with music, and then you said when you want to relax, you read.
Because I don't relax.
So when do you listen to music?
I just said when I'm walking out,
so only when
I'm
you're
having a dinner
out.
Party with friends.
So walking out, dinner party, other than that, music is really not in the mix.
When I'm trying, it's just not really. And
driving, podcasts,
driving,
audiobooks.
I don't drive in Lagos. In the US, it's nearly always NPR.
Okay.
But because of my daughter, a bit of music now.
Okay.
Yes, she loves music, and I love that she loves music. Right? Because I'm thinking, thank God you did not inherit this thing from your mother.
What about television?
Yes, I watch. I think so. The art form. So I want us to go back to talking about you laughing when I said I read. No, because I don't know how to feel about.
So this makes me feel bad because it's going to look like I'm laughing at readers because I read. Should I explain why I laughed?
There's so many young
okay, let me
people
explain
in
why
this
I
country
laughed.
who look up to you.
Let me explain why I laughed. Don't put me in that.
No. I will. I'm going to do that thing Nigerian parents do. As a role model of your generation.
Just let me clear
All right,
myself.
tell me. Yes, clear yourself, please.
I was talking about what you do when you relax. Yeah. And I thought music was going to be the answer. And you said reading. So my laughter was, so what do you do with music? Because music for a lot of people is relaxing.
That was not your laughter. Your laughter was they're asking her what she does to relax. She's saying reading. Who reads to relax? That was what the
I
laughter
do.
was.
I actually do. Don't listen to her, please.
See, the thing is, people don't read.
Yeah.
Right?
I wasn't laughing at that. I'm being very honest. But
for
it
me,
was a chuckle because I honestly thought you were going to say. I don't think reading was what I expected to hear.
Reading, and I'll do. I'll read. I watch things. So of the art forms that I consume, it's literature and then film and television.
So what do you watch
before music?
What do you watch?
Music. I watch a lot of. You can chuckle if you want to. I watch a lot of things in. I'm already
chuckling.
Okay, okay, I'm thinking, what does he want me to say? I watch comedies.
Say what you watch.
I watch a lot of European television. So things that need closed captioning because they're not in English.
Is that you're trying to learn the language?
No,
or because their television is more interesting to you?
Yes, it's better. It's just better.
It's purer.
American. It's not even about pure. It's not even about purity. It's just better done, and it's more realistic. I find that a lot of American productions are just way too slick and shiny and unbelievable, and they're all addicted to a kind of fakeness. So happy ending, things are not realistic. Even just British television. Actually really good. Just basic, even just police procedurals that are British. They're good.
It's a little more raw.
Yes.
I think I get what you mean. Yeah.
They're just
European film is very just there. Like there's not 1,001 special effects and all of that. Yeah.
I can't, So I spend a lot of time. Netflix and Amazon Prime and so if you're there, actually I just discovered one that he's going to laugh now. But this is a streaming service that you subscribe to through a library. So they're actually fantastic.
I'm laughing because you're laughing, not because
there are fantastic documentaries on there that I watch. So that's what I watch. I'm very curious. I'm endlessly, so I think of myself as a student of life. I'm constantly wanting to learn. And so because of that, I'm quite open to things. But because there's certain things I've seen and know that they're not for me, and life is short, and there's so many things I want to watch, there are things I just will not watch because they're not for me.
What won't you watch?
I will not watch mainstream American comedies.
Okay.
I will not watch that, and also sort of mainstream TV shows in the US that are sort of on ABC, CBS, and NBC. I will almost never watch them.
Why is that? You don't think it gives you anything?
They bore me.
Yeah. Is Nollywood anywhere in your...
Nollywood is a thing that I'm grateful it exists. And if I'm outside Nigeria, you dare not talk anything bad about Nollywood because I will fight you. But then I hardly ever watch Nollywood.
Why?
I don't know. I think years ago, it was just hard. I would start something, it was just hard to finish.
Yeah.
Because, I just think, surely, come on. I'd be like, there are problems with the dialogue, there are problems with continuity, there are just problems with just basic things. I think it's changing a bit. I did watch something that I quite liked. Okay. I watched Living in Bondage.
The new...
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And I actually quite liked it. So I watched it because a friend of mine had said to me, no, we have to watch it. It's actually very good. Yeah. And because, of course, I feel very emotionally attached to the original Living in Bondage.
Everybody is. Yes. So when it was coming out, I was like, the better not ruin.
Yes, right. and the original one is kind of like it's like a stage play in a way. Because I went back and I looked at it on YouTube, and it's so charming and it's so innocent. Yes, in the storytelling. And this one, I was actually I quite liked it. I thought it was really well done. Yeah. And jazz in Nollywood has always been a thing that I like to mock. So, I'll say things like, next thing is, and then somebody will turn into a chicken, that kind of thing. But the way that jazz was done in this remake, I thought was really... So, I think that's a testament to what Nollywood has become. Yes. And there's a lot more. Yes, and what it can, even more, what it can do. Yeah. Yes. And, so I saw that. What else have I seen recently? So I should actually say that I'm much more willing to give Nollywood a chance than I am to give American mainstream shows a chance.
Suck on that, America. We'll take that. We'll definitely take that. Talking about American television, I don't know if I should bring this up, but you have an interesting Star Trek story with your husband, don't you?
Star Wars. Wait, how do you know?
Star Wars.
How do you know?
Because you told me.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, wow. You see
Did I say Star Trek? Star Wars.
You see the problem. I told you.
I think it's an amazing story. It's just, I don't know if you want to talk about it.
Well, I guess it's okay. So, I remember when I told you, I won't tell you things again. If you now come in public to start discussing our private stuff.
But this one is not that deep.
So Star Wars. I never. Are you a Star Wars fan? Did you say you were?
I really don't care for it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Did you care for it? Okay.
I did not understand.
Sorry,
it.
Star Wars people. But
Don't be sorry. I think this is part of the world we live in now, where you have to apologize for having your own likes and dislikes. Why? It's okay.
No, I take my sorry back.
We can like what we like and dislike what we dislike. But anyway, my husband loves Star Wars. He's been a fan from the time he was, 2 years old. So one day we're at we go to a party.
Why am I laughing?
So we're at a party in actually it's the Oscars party.
Okay.
It's not as if I don't spend my time going to Oscars parties. Let's just be clear, because I don't want it to seem like. But so we went one year, and so we were seated with this really lovely guy who's the director of Star Wars, and so he's we get along, we talk, we've become friends, JJ, and so he said to me,
JJ Abrams. Can we just pause and if you don't know JJ Abrams, can you Google and see how she just says JJ?
Okay.
Because I'm shook.
Okay.
But go on.
So anyway,
I want to be friends
JJ
with
is a
JJ.
really, he's actually a really lovely guy, like just a good guy. And so he says to me, my wife loves your work, my kids love your work. And he said to me, you're the only person who I will take this photograph with, and my kids will be impressed. He's like, we're in a room full of all, but they kind of know the actresses. But you. So I'm feeling very special with myself. So I was like, well, JJ, I'll take a picture with you. But my husband here really likes Star Wars. So what can we do about that? And I was kind of joking. But then JJ's like, oh, really? So my husband, Ivy, starts talking about Star Wars and all the, 20 million different episodes. I don't know.
There's a series with like 200 years.
The thing is a serious thing. So
I don't care.
Ivy goes into, and JJ is getting really excited. And JJ says to me, do you think he would like to be an extra? We're shooting in London in a few months. So I'm like,
hope you're following.
I'm like, do I think he would like to be an extra on this thing that he adores? Yes!
Of course.
No. Actually, that's not true. It didn't happen then. It happened later. No. So we talked at the party. And then later, JJ sends me a text. Yes, it was by text. Because I remember breaking the news to Ivy. And I said to him, well, would you like to be an extra on Star Wars? And he's sort of doing what he's doing and not paying attention. I said, did you hear me? So anyway, so a few weeks later, we go to London. He goes to the set. And the set is like they check you 50 times because clearly this thing is a big deal.
Yeah.
And then
it's Star Wars. It is a big deal.
And you get passes and all kinds of things, the whole thing. And then Ivy goes in. The first day I went with him, then the next few days I didn't go with him. So he was supposed to be one of those people who wear a metal thing. So apparently they measured him for the metal thing. He wore it. And then his role was to come out and look surprised. Right. So the day that he shoots his own
I don't like how you're telling the story. You're making me. Let's go on.
So this is how I now came. I said to them, please, how did he do? How was he? JJ said, the first time they told my husband, just come out and just look surprised. The man ran out and was like, hey. So JJ said,
the Nigerian in him.
The Nigerian in him. So I'm sure JJ was like, would like it to be a bit less African. A bit less African. And I'm like, who sent you to America? So they did a few takes before. Apparently he got it right. But then the sad thing. So of course we're not allowed to tell anyone. Right? And then until the film comes out. And JJ had said to us that he was really going to fight hard to make sure it wasn't cut. The scene wasn't cut. And I remember...
So he ended up doing well.
Yeah.
At least he thought he did well.
Apparently, I don't know if JJ was being nice but the point is that the scene was cut. And JJ gave me one long explanation that something sent me. I was like,
So wait, I need to calm down. So you guys go to the premiere or whatever, expecting to see.
No, we knew. We knew. Will you stop that? This is your laughter, but Bella is in it. No. We knew before the film came out.
Okay, so he told you guys that it was cut. Yeah. How did he feel? How did your husband feel?
No, he was fine. He was fine.
I mean, it was how many days in London waiting to be in that scene? You must have heard.
We were going to be in London anyway.
Okay.
So, but I think for him it was just nice to see the behind the scenes. Yes.
the entire.
So we went and we saw one of the scenes with John Boyega, and John was climbing into one thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, no.
You really don't care for the Star Wars. Would you ever be in a movie?
I believe in never say never. I don't think I can act. So.
Me too.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, would I play myself in a cameo? Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you ever been offered anything?
Maybe.
And you've turned it down, obviously.
Maybe not.
Or it's not. It's still...
She says mysteriously.
So she might be in a movie soon.
I'm not saying anything, please. Maybe COVID changed things.
Oh, wow. We're going to get there. Let me just move the conversation and wait for it in front. But speaking of, we're talking about movies, music. I want to just talk the arts and creative space generally in Nigeria. What are your thoughts? Are you excited with the way things are?
Yeah.
Music, movies, artists. Talking about artists, not artists. Writing, just the entire creative space.
Very much. I am very much. I think there's so much talent in this country, right? And I think what's happening now, I think what's changed in maybe the past, I'm going to say 10 years, is that there's an increase in confidence.
Yeah.
We are not
more
just
expressive.
Yes, we're not just talented artistically. We've become confident about our talent and about not apologizing and about being Nigerian in a way that I really admire. So the music, for example, even the music that because we've talked about my not being a music fan, but I know enough to know that there are people who are just so talented and who Burna Boy, I think, is really talented. And and I know, by the way, why is it that when we talk about contemporary Nigerian music and the big names, why are they almost all male?
We'll get there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So so I really feel a kind of pride, right? For Burna Boy, oh Lord, please God, do not disgrace yourself.
Wizkid,
Davido,
Tiwa Savage, Yemi Alade.
Yemi. Oh, I forgot Yemi. I love what Yemi does. I listen to her.
Yeah.
She's actually on my
Your list.
Yes.
Of people you listen to.
Yeah. What was the question? So yeah, am I excited? Yes, and of course writing. There's just so much talent.
You do a lot of work with like young writers.
Yep.
Right?
Yep. I've been doing a writing workshop so this will it didn't happen this year for obvious reasons, COVID. But this would be, I'm telling you.
Just go on. We're alive. I always say that we're alive.
Right? Yes. But anyway, so
this is the first year you've missed.
This would have been the 11th year.
Oh wow.
Maybe the 12th year. But yeah, so there's music, yes, and art. I really I forgot to tell you, we're talking about music.
Yeah.
It's art that I actually really love.
Art. Like
yes, the visual art.
Okay. Okay.
I deeply admire painters.
Yeah.
And there's
such
a lot of
talent I wish I had.
Me too. Even drawing, I wish I could. You know how in primary school there was always that girl or that boy, this person can draw.
In fine arts class.
I always wanted to be that person. Fine art class, I was a disaster.
Me too. Fine arts and music, actually. But
really, you too? Look at this. Are you serious?
Which is interesting because I was in the school choir, so I don't know how I could.
How did that happen?
I had small vocal ability, small. But you see all those drawing of notes, of music notes, and playing any instruments was zero.
Yes.
So I couldn't wait to drop the music class.
So in some ways, so I cannot hold a tune. Yeah. But in primary school and secondary school, I could
notes and all of that. You were good with
those. Yes. But to hold a tune, no.
Yeah.
But no, so painting, I really, really admire the number of Nigerian artists that I like, and I'm very excited about and for them. But no, so I think in general, I feel really, I feel very proud.
Is it one thing I was at a conference recently with the United Nations, and someone there who wasn't even Nigerian said, isn't it interesting that the things that work the most in Nigeria are the things run by young people? And they talked about entertainment and tech, and it was sort of talking to the people in government who were on the panel saying, these are spaces.
That's interesting.
These are spaces run by people who are young or young-ish. Yeah. And they're the places where Nigerians are shining the most internationally, creative space, entertainment, tech. I mean, the tech space, I'm hearing of such crazy numbers with regards to acquisitions.
Really?
And, there was a $200 million deal the other day. There's a $20 million one the other day. Like, things are happening there. And it just makes you imagine what could be.
Oh, of course. Everyday Nigeria frustrates me, and everyday Nigeria makes me realize what it could be.
Yeah.
Because this is a country of just immense possibility, right? And it doesn't have to be this
And you
bad.
encounter them every day.
Every day. And you're just thinking, sometimes in my deep frustration, I think, it doesn't have to be this bad. Yeah. And sometimes I think, what does it take? I mean, just... Today, just before I came here, I'm listening to the news channels, and there's a state in which a governor is flagging off the building of a road. I'm thinking, why the hell do we
Those are a big deal.
But it just makes you realize where we are. We shouldn't be flagged. It should be utterly ordinary that roads are built. It shouldn't be reason for fanfare. And then so recently I was in the East, and you go between the roads, the Enugu-Onitsha road.
Yeah.
It's just an atrocity. And then you're thinking, actually I remember driving on that road and thinking, wait, how much is it to build a road? No, honestly, can we crowdfund? I mean,
and just do this thing.
Yeah, because you think, how hard
and it's been bad
this?
for so long.
For so long.
I'm going to stop you there because we still have a Nigeria conversation coming up, which is a little later. But I want to just track back now because you were talking about, music and school, and I want to go back to Nsukka, which is where you grew up. You grew up on campus, I believe. Do you know the Odabis?
Yeah, Teddy was my friend.
Have we ever had this conversation?
I know.
Okay, so the Odabis are almost my family's closest friends in Abuja. Yeah.
Which Odabis?
The Odabis. Because they moved to Abuja from Nsukka. Oh. Yeah, Teddy Odabi was my brother's best friend before he passed away.
Oh, really?
Yes. So, Mrs. Odabi and my mom were mistaken for sisters for the longest time because they look almost exactly alike.
Really?
Yeah. So from them, I always knew about the Adichies and how you guys all grew up in Nsukka and all of that. So I have your gist small on this side. So if you lie, I will catch you.
No, you can't have my gist.
Shout out to Konye
really?
and everybody. And yes, Teddy was a very close family friend. Yeah, he was.
I'm so sad. He was my friend. He was. I think
people are lost now, wondering what we're talking about. Yes, we're going to get to that. Now, let's talk about Nsukka, which is where you grew up. We know. I don't know if we know enough about Nsukka. I feel like all we know is she grew up in Chinua Achebe's house, and that's it.
Well, actually, I didn't grow up in Chinua Achebe's house.
Or you lived there at some point.
Well, I grew up in the house in which Chinua Achebe had lived. It wasn't his house. It was university housing.
But you lived there?
Yes. So Chinua Achebe's family lived there. They moved out and went to the US, and my family moved in.
Okay.
And then
were you born there?
No. When I was born, we lived in a different house.
Okay. What was campus life like as a child living on campus?
Lovely.
Yeah.
Really. So very safe, very close. So, it's a campus, it's self-contained, which is to say that your friends were people whose parents everyone knew, because your friends' parents were also staff of the university. And you either went to St. Peter's Catholic Church or you went to the Protestant church. We all went to University Staff School. You went to the University Children's Library. So it was sort of this, I often say that it was the best time of my life that I didn't realize, that only in retrospect.
Only looking back now,
It was very happy. I had friends, I had, so in a strange sort of way, you were laughing about me and music. So I didn't know the lyrics. I wasn't really interested in parties, not really. But I was sort of the commander of the girl squad. And
makes sense now.
Shut up. And so, I had friends. It was just a very safe way to grow up.
Yeah.
And it was also the time when you could go out. You just sort of wander off. We lived on Margaret Cartwright Avenue. You could just wander off all the way to Odim Street. Your friends would be there.
And you felt safe enough. And, you'd ride your bicycle. It was just a really safe time. The one thing that my father,
being an Abba man, he's like, no to swimming pool. So I cannot swim. Because while my
that
friends
just never
were,
happened.
My father was like, Miliadira kabani. Jero. For the non-Igbo speakers, we'll leave it there.
Like you don't need it for anything.
So then the swimming pool walked, right? There was so it was a really, I really feel very grateful. And I think that I was fortunate to have a fantastic education. Yeah. Really at no cost to my parents. So I often talk about my dream for young Nigerians is to have that kind of education where you don't have to pay crazy money to get it.
And still come out.
Yes, because it was a university staff school. Right? So if you were staff, your kids went there. And the teachers were very good. That's really where everything I know I learned there, primary school. And it's really, if you don't have that foundation, it's hard to make up for it, you know. Yeah.
So, I mean, talking about Nsukka, it's sort of a community with other children, with families and all of that. Looking back now, okay, you've talked about the education. What about then would you say stuck with you the most or still sticks with you the most now? Because, I mean, you have such a global appeal now. But Nsukka is such a small town. Yeah. And the university is an even smaller community. Yes. And it shaped you. So what about then? Outside of education, do you think has...
The music. I think, you know what? I don't think it's one thing. Yeah. But I think there is, and I often say this, that I consider myself a person who's very comfortable in the world. So I'm comfortable wherever I am in the world, right? But it's because of my very specific upbringing. It's because I grew up in Nsukka. And there's a kind of confidence, I think. And so if there's one thing that I took from that remains with me, it's a kind of confidence in being who you are, not apologizing for being who you are, not feeling that you have to perform. You know, I think it came from growing up in Nsukka. This is who I am.
Because everybody was just real. It was a real space.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Interesting. Yeah. What about boys?
What about boys?
I want to know. Because, I mean, I'm thinking you're a young girl in a community where everybody was interacting. The Teddy or Debbie goes so.
Actually, did you know this? Teddy was in love with me for years.
But you weren't.
I like
Sips. Interesting. I wish you were here for me to ask him. I know what you mean.
But really, God rest his soul. He was a very lovely guy.
He was. And I say this not because he's not because he's passed away.
Very lovely guy.
One of the most amazing human beings I know. But I just want to, because if you're in a university community, you're also in a community.
Let me ask you about girls.
And you're young.
Let me ask you about girls. Do you need to be in a university community to
My point exactly. But it's more interesting where you're in a community where there's just a lot of interaction from what I get from what you're saying. The families are close. Yeah. People are interacting with.
Yeah, there were boys. Of course, there were boys.
Yeah. How many? You were the fifth or sixth children?
There's 6 of us. I'm number 5.
You're 5.
So I have a younger brother.
And how many sisters?
I have 2 sisters. So there's 3 of us, 3 girls and 3 boys.
Was there any of the overprotection, or come with us, let's go and hang out? What was the situation?
Neither. But here's the thing. So there's 6 of us. The first 3, there's a kind of divide. So they had gone away. So EJ and Uchi went to boarding school, and Chuks, the first 3. And
when you were still really young.
Yes. And then sort of EJ went off to Enugu campus to study medicine. So they left and lived in the hostel. So it was sort of me, Oke, and Kene, the last 3, who really grew up together. And
so you were the only girl at this time?
Yes. So my brothers and I are really close, really, really close.
I can tell. I see them quite often at your events.
Yes. No, we're really, actually my whole family, but my brothers, Oke and Kene, because we're sort of, we used to call each other, we used to be referred to as the 3 Musketeers by my parents, and often said with an eye roll because we got up to things. But no, so there wasn't, the age gap wasn't that much. So it wasn't a situation of I'm protecting you, cannot do anything, no. And sometimes I would go to Oke's so sometimes socially, actually, Oke and I went to the same things.
Oke is after you?
Oke is older than I am. Okay. Kenny is younger than I am. So there was a thing called the Youth Forum on campus when we were teenagers and we were all trying to be cool. So
you didn't do block rosary. You were doing
block rosary. This is the problem with people that do not have exciting childhoods. So, Ebuka, darling, while you were doing Block Rosary,
Wow.
I was going to Youth Forum. We had parties. We went to the arts theater.
Wow.
No, I did go. Is that what you did? No, I went to catechism. Obviously, you know.
We all did catechism, yeah.
No, but Block Rosary, no. We because that's too funny because I totally understand. No. So instead of Block, and I have to say, my parents, I feel as though with the first three, my parents generally were very progressive raising their kids. I mean, relatively for Igbo parents, for Igbo Catholic parents, they were very progressive. My mother, for example, I remember in secondary school, my friends would lie to their parents about going to parties. I never had to lie because my mother thought it was perfectly fine to go to a party. She just told you what time she needed you to come back, and she gave you a handkerchief. She's like, all ladies need to have a clean handkerchief. And recently I said to her, but Mommy, what was that about handkerchief? Every time she'd be like, nah, yeah, all ladies should give me a handkerchief. I'd be like,
did she ever tell you?
She said all ladies need to have a handkerchief.
Maybe so you don't shine or sweat. I
don't know. I still need to ask my mother. But no, so no, it was okay. So Youth Forum was really cool.
So what was Youth Forum?
Just young people looking for a reason to mingle.
So they were boys and girls.
Of course, there were boys and girls. You think it was Block Rosary?
It was toasting.
I'm so amused by this Block Rosary. Yes, people dated, and often you would know who was a couple.
So was that why you went there?
No, I did not need to go there.
I mean, you were young, so it's fine if that was why.
Darling, the point is,
yeah,
I didn't need to go there.
You were hot like that.
The attention came anyway. Thank you very much.
Are you hearing that?
And at that point, she takes a sip.
You didn't need Youth Forum.
Youth Forum was fun. There were boys and girls. We organized things. I can't remember, a fashion show in the arts theater. All kinds of things. How old
were you around this time?
So between JS3 and SS3.
Okay. So I'm guessing 12, 13-ish.
Yeah. Up until...
So about 15, 16, yeah.
So it was... So I'm sorry that your memories are those of Block Rosary.
It was a brief moment in my life.
By the way, can we just say Block Rosary has its uses? Children will now not go and pray. By the way, can I ask?
Because there was some... Let me tell you why I like Block Rosary.
It was a girl.
The prayer. Not even the girl. So where I lived I grew up in Benin City. And at the time, it became a competition amongst households of who had the best food when your house hosted Block Rosary. It was weird. So we rotated.
Oh, really?
So a house hosted on a different day.
Really?
So he would come back to your house, I think, every other week. And when he came back, you had to have...
Like food? Like
small
rice?
chops, food, whatever it was. But it was a thing where you look forward to, your food was not even sweet. That sort of thing.
You see how even in religion...
So it wasn't about the prayer.
This is the problem. In Nsukka, Block Rosary was so uncool. Yeah. So there were the kids. It was actually in one person's house. I shouldn't say. I don't want to.
Don't call their name. You can call it if you feel.
No. But the whole thing was just uncool. And no. Block Rosary, no. However, do you know the Mary League?
Yes.
But it has to be said. It can't be said like that. It's Mary League.
Mary League.
So one year in my hometown, my mother decided that I have to go and join Mary League. Hey,
which cannot be confused with Legion of Mary, because Mary League.
Yes, Mary League, and you tie your scarf like this, then you wear one very long dress because somehow I don't know what the hell that. My mother said no, that I have to join Mary League just for the village, and I said, hey, wow, I cannot join Mary League, please. So anyway, this is my sort of way of telling you: Block Rosary, Mary League.
We're together.
Yes.
When did you have your first boyfriend?
First boyfriend, what counts? Because grade 1, there was a boy I liked.
Okay.
Was it grade 1? When did I?
Grade 1 is what we call primary 1 now.
Yes. Okay. Yes.
Do you remember his name?
Yes.
Do you know where he is now?
No. And I will not say his name because he will probably come out of the woodworks. However, no, grade 5. I'm going to embarrass my friend Okay and say Okay Odibo in grade 5 was my huge crush.
Did he know?
Yes. And darling, of course the crush was reciprocated.
Okay, I was gonna say I hope it was
of course.
So that was your first proper like.
I think so. Okay, is the person I remember just, in that way that's so young. Okay, gave me a pencil once. His father came back from America and he gave me a pencil, and that pencil became a magical thing that I treasured. And then one day I lost that pencil, and Ibuka, I'm telling you, till today I am heartbroken about that pencil.
Does he know this?
No, but I guess now he knows. He'll probably watch this. So I think I was 10. Yeah. So I think that was sort of the first time I felt just deeply
connected.
Yes, and we hardly even talked, right? And I remember he gave me the pencil. He called me. I looked back because I sat in front of him in class, and then he threw the pencil at me. And we knew that his father had just come back from America. And at the time, if your father or usually it was fathers, somebody's father had come back from America, you brought things to class.
You brought canvas, not sneakers.
Exactly. So when I remember when my dad, one of his visits, he came and the sneakers were high tech. That was the brand. And so, I bounced into class in my high tech. So okay brought, I think Okay also brought, I remember Okay coming in eating an apple, a very bright red apple, which was so, strange. His father came back from America, and then that pencil. Yeah. So he calls me and he throws the pencil at me. And it was just so romantic.
I think it's interesting that you're talking about the apple there, because I was having this conversation just 2 days ago with someone saying that growing up in the 80s, we didn't have apples in Nigeria. So seeing an apple then was a big deal.
Oh, it was a big deal.
Now it's in traffic everywhere, thanks to Jos and Taraba and everywhere where these things are grown now. But apples were a big deal.
Oh, they were. It was so
and
okay.
Grapes. Like, you don't find
no, I never saw grapes in Nsukka.
Let's go back. So you've been talking a lot about, you didn't need to, go to youth forum to. Did you have a lot of boy attention or distraction? Was it ever a distraction?
Attention, yes. Distraction, no. I was always very clear about what I wanted to do with myself.
So you were always like, this stuff, this is what I want?
If I liked a boy, I made it clear I liked the boy. If I didn't like the boy, I made it clear.
Did you ever have a proper relationship at any point besides in grade 5?
Not in primary school, surely.
Secondary school?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Secondary school, I'm not going to say his name because
I don't want badly?
No. We're friends. I don't want his wife to be upset.
She might be proud. Speaking for her. You never know.
No, but he was my brother's friend.
Okay.
And actually started my crush on him I was in JS1, so I was but I've always been very precocious, and he was in SS1.
Okay.
I've never followed my mates. I'm not, Your
eye has always been big.
Yeah. It's not a small thing. But you know what? It's actually not that. It's more, what they say about emotionally, so that in terms of emotional development, in general, right? Girls just are more emotionally developed than boys in general.
I'm not going to argue.
And so because I was a precocious child, I was a child who at the age of 8, I was reading, the books that I was reading were just not books that an 8-year-old should be reading. And so the boys who were my age, when at 10 in grade 5, it was fine for Kate to throw the pencil at me and for us to write. Did you do slum books?
Kind of, yeah.
Or they'll flog you in Block Rosary if you do slum book.
Wow.
You will not hear.
I was actually cool.
Look, stop lying. This your coolness started yesterday. Stop lying.
I was actually cool. Guys.
So stop lying. It's okay. So slum book
is what you.
Wait, boyfriend. So slum book.
I know what a slum book is.
This generation, they don't know, so we need to tell them. So this book where name, age, favorite book, favorite food
with a small picture.
No, we do not have pictures.
Oh, you didn't do pictures. No. Oh, we were cooler then.
Excuse me. But the exciting part was boyfriend, girlfriend, where you now write, and then girl you admire, boy you admire. So at the time in primary school, that was what having a boyfriend was. That I wrote Okay's name and Okay wrote my name, and then maybe once in 3 months I would call or he would call me. And our phone was in the study upstairs in our house, and my father often would just be sitting there walking while you're the phone. Yes, and then you're there with the phone like this, and my father is just there, and you're having the most awkward conversation because
Please, where's Okay now?
Okay, lives in Port Harcourt.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you guys still very friendly?
Yes, we're good friends, and we joke about that period. And I'm saying this because I want to flatter him. So he's going to be like, I can't call my name. But no, secondary school was different, obviously, because I was older, and so there was just no way I could possibly be with somebody who was my age. It just So the crush started in JS1. And apparently he fell in love as well, but didn't tell me for many years until I was in SS1. And at this time, he was about leaving secondary school. So I told you I did not follow my mates. And it was first love.
Did you guys ever date?
Of course we did.
How long for?
I think I broke his heart after about a year and a half.
You're a small demon.
Just small.
So you guys did it for a year and a half and you broke up with him. Why?
Because I met someone else. Da, 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 da.
Like we said,
I cannot believe
we said this.
Okay, I'm not saying anything else. I've never said anything of this sort in any interview. It's this wine you gave me.
We're going to get to feminism talk, but fear women. Women.
How?
Wait, you broke up with him because you met someone else. And then what happened?
Then I dated someone else.
Okay, for how long? You were still in secondary school doing all this?
Being
so powerful.
He was very handsome. Actually, both were quite handsome.
Yeah.
And in general, I'm not even interested. I'm not drawn to handsome. I find that a lot of handsome men are too interested in their own handsomeness.
Chai, sorry to all you handsome guys.
So I'm generally drawn to not just intelligence. You know what I'm drawn to? I'm drawn to kindness.
I read Purple Hibiscus, right? And I remember the very first time I met you, you did say to me that you heard that I took it into Big Brother, which was in 2006. I was on Big Brother in 2006, and we were asked to bring in 2 books.
No, were you asked to bring books or just bring something?
We were told to bring 2 books and something else. So I brought in Purple Hibiscus and my Bible. Black Rosary, hello.
So now my estimation of you was here.
Wow.
Because they had said to me that people on the show were asked to bring something, and you brought the book.
To be honest, I can't remember if it was something of 2 books, but I remember I brought 2 books.
Okay. Because if it's not that,
yeah.
So as you were saying that, my estimation
is not here, Sha. It's not on the table.
Not yet.
So I brought in Purple Hibiscus, and I remember coming out, and you had said you heard about me taking the book. You had not blown like this. You had blown, Sha, but and interesting. I remember reading the book, which I think happens to you a lot. People read your books and tie you to the characters in the book. And it was about a very Catholic family with a very Catholic father and a very strict father. And hearing you now about how liberal you say your parents are is quite interesting. How much of a role was religion in your home growing up with, because I know you talk about Catholicism a lot in your books. Yeah. So you must have been there.
Oh yeah, it was.
But how strong was it an influence in you?
Remember that it was also very central in my process of informing myself. In other words, remember, confirmation gave me the name, which then led to the name that my ancestors wanted for me, Chimamanda. But no, it's interesting you say that, because a lot of people think people read your fiction.
For the longest time, I thought Purple Hibiscus was about you.
Really?
Yeah. I was like, so sad. They flogged her so much.
I did an event once in Lagos years ago, and there's this really lovely woman who came, and then I was sitting here signing books, and she kept trying to turn around to come to my side, and she kept looking down, and then she said, "I want to see your feet where he poured hot water." and then it got to a point where I had to start off all of my sort of Purple Hibiscus events by saying to people, my father is the loveliest man. He's nothing like this guy. Poor guy. Sometimes my dad would come with me and sit there, and people are looking at him like
judging. So where did that come from?
I don't know, and it's very hard for me to answer this kind of question, because you make up answers.
Yeah.
I mean, my creativity is very intuitive, and there are many things. It comes from many things. I think that everything I write is about me in a way, but I haven't written fiction that's about my life.
Yeah.
Yet. I might, but I haven't. But I borrow from my life. So to write Purple Hibiscus, it came from a place of knowing Catholicism really intimately.
Or what it can be.
What it can be. I knew what it was for us. Our Catholicism was quite moderate. But I also knew that there were people who just were crazy about theirs. The kind of people who would say to their children, you cannot greet certain people in the village because they don't go to church. You can't go. The people who say you can't go to an Anglican's wedding because they're not Catholic, that kind of thing.
Siemens.
The Siemens. My father wasn't like, actually my father, this is a fantastic line from my dad, who once was talking about somebody who went to what my father calls Oka Hallelujah. People. So my father is
Protestant.
Like, my father is like, Obun Ijero Father, Obun Ijero Siemens, door in Abba. It's sort of like you sit down. If you don't go to the Catholic church, you go to the Anglican church, you sit down. I was saying, Daddy, that's not very inclusive. But no, I grew up Catholic, and Catholicism was very important to me. I think it I often say that it's almost like a culture. So even if you leave the Catholic Church, it's in you. Yeah. There are things Catholicism is not just a religion, it's a culture, I think. So today, I don't like to talk about religion because I don't know. I mean, I actually think of myself as sort of questioning and agnostic. I don't know. There's a lot I don't know.
Do you find that happens a lot with Catholics?
In Nigeria, yes.
Nigeria, yeah, that's what I mean.
But that's because not what I'm going through. But you mean leaving the church, right?
I'm talking about just rethinking things.
Well, yes, because Catholicism holds you tight. Yeah. I think that there are many other Protestant denominations that are not as. Catholicism it's sort of like all inclusive. You have to be in there. It tells you you cannot eat before Mass because you have to go to confession. Otherwise, I mean, it's
a lot of rules. So
many rules in a way and it teaches you guilt about everything, in a way that I don't think many Protestant denominations do.
Are you still Catholic?
I guess nominally. I still feel protective of certain things about the Catholic Church.
It doesn't attend church.
Certainly not in Nigeria.
Okay. Why? What's the difference?
I think that, I think there's way too much that's about money and fundraising and, Thanksgiving. And then in some churches, especially in the East, to look at who is wearing gold. And I'm just like... So I think that for me, the focus of religion should be things that Nigerian Catholicism doesn't really focus on. Yeah. And so it doesn't interest me.
So are you still Catholic?
Ibuka, there's such a thing as having a complex answer to a question, which is what is happening.
No, I just want to know, would you call yourself a Catholic still?
Culturally, yes.
Are you religious?
If religious means performing, going to confession, no.
Do you still go to church?
Not in Nigeria.
Okay. Sometimes outside of Nigeria, do you go often? Sometimes. Do you go when you...
Certainly not often. Okay. Certainly not often. There are times when I have gone, when I found a progressive Catholic church. Okay. I'll go because there is still something I think quite beautiful about Mass. I find Mass quite beautiful, especially sort of... I find the old-fashioned... I find Latin quite beautiful.
I love Latin.
I find the drama of it, the priests sweeping up in their dresses, because they really are dresses. I find that quite beautiful. And the sense of community, there's something quite lovely about it. But there's also a lot that I quarrel with. Right? I think that... so I was telling you that the reason I say I'm culturally Catholic is that I feel very protective still. So you cannot insult the Pope. It's this Pope I love.
It was his birthday.
Was it?
84th
Love
birthday.
Love him. So
he's doing amazing things, I believe.
He's so human. And for me, that's what Christianity is. There's a realness and a kindness and a humanity to him that I just find so moving. Actually,
but a lot of real Catholics don't like him.
A lot of... You're saying real.
That's why I did that.
Yeah, I'm saying hyper-conservative Catholics don't like him. But then they need to read Catholic history, and I won't bore you, but really, they should know that there have been people like him who have reformed the church. And actually, because of him, I started going to Mass in the US once in a while. Yeah. And because close to me, there's a lovely progressive church. And there's a priest who talks about, love and kindness, and who reads, and who's not sort of every day telling you must vote for the Republicans and you must vote to ban abortion, because that's sort of in American Catholicism, that's all they talk about. But culturally Catholic still. But the reason I respect religion in general, while questioning some of its excesses, because I know people so my father, for example, was a devoted Catholic, and I saw how it's possible for religion to make a good man even better. Yeah. And my father was an example of that. So I really respected that, and he just deeply cared about the church, but not in a kind of, you did not go to confession, therefore you're going to hell way. No.
Right? He attend Mass.
He went to morning Mass. There were periods when he would just go to morning Mass every day. And my mother would complain once. She said to me, you need to talk to your father. He wakes up at 5:30 to go to morning Mass. I don't want to go to morning Mass. He turns on the light and he starts singing. So I had to say, Daddy.
Sounds a little like my home.
I had to say, Daddy, you don't turn on the light. Go to another room and get ready. Do not sing. She wants to sleep. It's 5 a.m.
Everybody has to go.
Really? For you?
For growing up for a bit, yes. Yeah, my dad is a knight.
So was my father.
So
of what? Semulumba?
Semulumba.
Ah, really?
Yeah, so he's a defender of the faith.
Yeah. And their swords.
And the cap and everything. Anyway, let's not go into that. So I want to go into, you moving to America. But before going there, we've talked a lot about, moving to America and finding out how, for the first time that you were black.
Yeah.
I've seen a ton of interviews about that. But I want to talk about Nsukka before you moved. In Nigeria, we don't deal a lot with race.
Yeah.
It's a lot more tribalism, things along those lines. So University of Nigeria, even though it's University of Nigeria, so it's probably a lot quite inclusive of all tribes. Nsukka is still very hardcore Southeastern. Did you know you were Igbo before leaving Nigeria? And when did you know, and what was it for you knowing that?
That's a really good question. Now I know you went to school.
You're welcome.
You passed. You passed in school.
In flying colors.
Yeah? Who did you copy?
Wow.
No, it's actually an interesting question because I'm thinking about it now. Did I know I was Igbo? Well, yes, but it wasn't so much about it being the norm. It's because I was a precocious child who asked questions, and I was already infatuated with our history, with Biafra. At the age of 10, I was asking questions about Biafra. And of course, you cannot be interested in Biafra without being aware of tribe and ethnicity and tribalism. But in terms of growing up in Nsukka, almost everybody was Igbo. Yeah. First of all, Igbo was, even if we spoke Igbo and English at home, it was very important to my parents. We spoke Igbo. It was, when my parents gave birth, when my mother gave birth to my sisters in the US in the 60s, I remember my father saying, they decided from the first day, only Igbo inside the house because they're going to learn English. And so growing up, Igbo and English at the same time. But when you went out in the market, Igbo, with the taxi driver, Igbo. So it was a very Igbo world. There were a few Yoruba people. Were there any Northerners in Nsukka? I don't think
that you can remember.
Actually, we had many more Europeans than anything else. There were lots of people who were married who had lots of friends who had white mothers because their fathers had gone to get an education and they came back with
white
yes. So that was actually the cosmopolitanism that was in Nsukka. It wasn't a tribal cosmopolitanism, but then race wasn't an issue. Yeah. When did I? But a sense of Igbo as an identity, I don't think I really had. Because I didn't need to question it in Nsukka because it was the norm. I think when I went to the US, identities then became it felt like having identities thrown at you. So it was black, it was African, right? Because people were just like, oh my God, you're African. Like, what do you do in Namibia? And I'm thinking, I don't even know where Namibia is. But also it was Nigeria and then it was Igbo because, I mean, things like even the name, what I told you earlier about wanting an Igbo name,
Yeah.
I don't think that longing would have been so acute had I not gone to the US.
Okay.
I think had I stayed in Nigeria, Amanda would have been perfectly fine.
Yeah.
I would have been very cool with myself. But going to the US, suddenly I thought, and it was in the US that I started reading Igbo history. I became interested in reading about, wanting to just understand where I come from, if that makes sense.
So that means there was some good to that.
Yeah.
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 Because I almost get some sense that whenever you talk about the fact that you moved and you realized for the first time you were black, it almost comes across as, okay, I'm identifying myself, but at the same time, the fact that it's now a thing, it's almost worrying.
No, I don't think so. I don't think becoming black in America, because that's really what it is.
Yeah.
It's not that it's necessarily all negative, because I like to say that for me, it was a learning experience. Initially, I did not want to be black.
Yeah.
And I tell the story of a guy in Brooklyn who was like, sister. And in my mind, I'm like, no, don't call me sister.
We're not related in any way.
Please. I know the number of brothers I have, please. But that came from ignorance. Because I hadn't been in the US long enough to understand African American history. All I saw on the news were, the way that they conflate blackness and crime. So all the people they arrest and show on TV are black men. They're not showing you all the white men who do the same things. And so in my mind, I was like, no. I don't want to be part of that.
Come on, yeah.
I came full circle, where I want to find that guy in Brooklyn and tell him, sorry, I'm your sister. Yeah. So there's a sense in which discovering blackness obviously had its bad sides, because the only reason that race matters is racism, I think. Otherwise, it doesn't matter, really.
Do you think that's the reason why tribalism matters? Or tribe matters,
No, it's different, because race is something that hardly makes sense, but tribe does. So to be of a tribe is to be part of a culture. Right? So to be Igbo, the reason I care about being Igbo is not really tribalism. It's because I have a history and an ancestry. It's because I come from a line of incredible Igbo women. My great-grandmother was fierce, and I'm supposed to be her comeback. That's what I care about. I care about the good parts of Igbo culture. So for me, that's what. But race, you just have a bunch of people who look the same way,
and you put them up in a group.
And there's really, race is a strange thing, and so I think the reason for me that race matters is racism.
Yeah.
And being in the US, becoming black, I had to learn, because when you're in Nigeria. And I also have to say that race in America is a specific thing. So if you go to Brazil, for example, the way that racism functions is kind of different. But because America has so much cultural power, we've come to think, there's a sense in which America universalizes its own concerns. So we all think, and young people in Nigeria will talk about things happening in America as though it happens to all of us, when actually it doesn't. So I had to learn America. I had to learn what it means to be black. I had to learn the coded language. I had to learn, and they're often quite subtle, which is why sometimes when I'm talking to some of my relatives here about race, they'll be like, yeah, you said it's racism. Okay, I don't see how it's racism more. Because they don't get the nuances, And sometimes I explain, and other times I'm like, let's just leave it.
It's fine.
It's okay.
Yeah. So before you moved, so you were in school in Nsukka. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You were studying medicine in Nsukka. Mm-hmm. Why did you start that at all? Because I know you never wanted to do that. Did you think you wanted to do it?
No, I knew I didn't want to. Did I think I had to do it?
Okay.
Yes.
So you were just doing it because you thought you had to?
Because I came first in class, and they said if you come first, you'll be a doctor. So
and you had how many siblings who were?
My sister is a doctor.
Okay.
My other sister is a pharmacist. My brother is an engineer. They had all done the things that you're supposed to do. Yes. They were all, they were all bright.
Before that, did you know that the arts were calling you?
Oh, yeah. I've been writing since I was 5.
Yeah. You were in the school journal. You were writing all that while. Yeah. But did you think you could make a career out of that?
No.
Okay. So that's why you didn't think it was a thing.
Yes.
So how did the scholarship happen abroad?
The scholarship happened because I was in university, bored to tears.
In your first year?
Yes, wanting to write. Then I left medicine, went to pharmacy. for part of a year, trying to pull myself out
of.
Let
me just be coming down so small.
So I remember, you get into medicine, and again in Nigeria, nobody just gets up and leaves. How can you just get up and say you're leaving medicine?
A whole doctor.
I went to my parents and I said, I don't want to study medicine anymore. And my parents, God bless them, I will never forget my father saying, "Are you sure?" I said, "Yes, Daddy." He said, "Okay, I'll speak to the dean."
Oh, wow.
And when he went to speak to the dean, he said the dean looked at him like, "What?" And then the dean says to the secretary, "Bring her report," because he thought I was failing. That the reason I was, my father,
why, yeah.
So he looks, he's like, "She's doing very well." My father says she doesn't want. And then I went to pharmacy because it's hard. You can't just move. What I really wanted, I didn't want to study literature. And I did not study literature. I wanted to study politics and history. Mm-hmm. I wanted to learn, because I think to be a writer, you have to have a wide and a very broad range of knowledge. And I felt that my science education had not prepared me for the world. So, and again, I was that student coming first in physics. I can draw a circuit for you perfectly, but ask me to explain how this AC now works. I don't know. In chemistry, I can write all the organic chemistry. Ask me now how this wine was made from grapes. So my mind wasn't there, right? And so it's this thing where I just knew. So I had said to myself, okay, I'll become a doctor. That's what they said. Okay, right? But, and actually in JS3, and I feel strongly about this because I want us to stop doing it to young people in this country, right? That because you never know what a child will become. I remember in JSS, we are taking the JSS exam. The result came out. I got the best result in my school. Not just the best result. Adichie got the best result in the history of the school. So I was seriously feeling myself. And then it was time to choose your subjects for SSS. I wanted to take literature, French. What else did I want to take? And I will never forget this teacher who loved me and meant well. She's like, No. Adichie will be a doctor. Medicine. Put SM. SM was science major where you do further math. She's like, no. Put SM. And I remember thinking, I don't want to,
Even at that time, you knew.
Oh, I knew. Yeah. So actually, I ended up being in the science basic, so no further maths. And I actually then went and spoke to the teachers and negotiated. So I was allowed to take literature in the science class.
I've never heard of that before.
Yeah. So
you did?
And French.
What we call FICMBA. Physics, chemistry, biology.
Yes.
And literature.
And French.
That's and French. That's the first.
Both things that were just not, But I went talk to my teachers, and so they let me, and it was this strange thing where when it was time for French, I would go to another class to take French because the people in my science class did not take French and literature. But anyway, so I wanted to. So I'm there. Okay, so I'm going to fast forward to make this story because it's getting too long. I'm bored.
Go on.
Me too. I'm bored with my own story.
I'm actually enjoying it.
Yeah. So where am I? So then I'm in science basic. I finish school. I take the SSS. I get the best result. Blah blah blah. I'm not. By the way, I want to say I'm not doing false modesty. I'm very proud of the things that I achieved.
You should be.
Yeah.
I would never have passed the sciences. So anybody who does, I'm always like, well done to you. I knew from like primary 3.
Yeah.
That I would never do anything science related.
Okay, and that's very good.
Introtech is just one. Even prepared me more. Like, yes, I'm ending it here.
But okay, and I hear you, but there's something I want to challenge, which is this idea of this thing we have where we think because someone does the sciences, they're somehow brighter. It's not true.
Yeah. I just know I wasn't wired that way. I knew I was smart.
Exactly.
I was never in doubt of the fact that I knew book.
Yes.
But I just knew I would never do those things.
Exactly. I wish our education system understood that more, right? I knew that I've always been an artist. I've always been a creative person. I've known that from childhood.
Did your family know that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So they let me, when I was in grade 4, my mother once joked about how she's going to have to buy shares in Nigeria Paper Mill because she spends all her time buying me exercise books for me to write my books. If you see, I remember one New Year's Day, the family was downstairs, everybody was talking, because on New Year's Day, we usually drink champagne. My father prays. I took my book, went upstairs to the study, started writing book. I said, I'm writing a story. And the reason I said that, I said to them, I have to finish it before the second day of the new year. And everybody was looking at me like, hey.
Why so deep?
The girl is a bit mental, right? But really, so I always knew. And so I remember thinking, I'm going to become a doctor.
Yeah.
What my heart wants is to create, to write. And I'm going to make it happen. So my plan was to be a doctor, but really to write at night. But then after a year, I just thought...
So you moved to pharmacy. And then
in pharmacy, I'm thinking, nope, not working out either.
So did you search out the scholarship or it happened?
Oh, no, I searched it out. I made it happen. No, it didn't just happen. I, at some point, decided that I didn't want to go on. And so I thought, what can I do? So I'm a person who believes very much in trying. My sister, one of my sisters who I said was born in the US in the 60s, had moved to the US, the doctor. And I had a very good friend in the US, Ada Ichitebu, who I adore. Ada, I love you to death. She now lives in New Zealand. But I remember then writing Ada. We used to write letters then, the wonderful good old days. And I said to her, I want you to help me. I want to try and come to America. I want to get a scholarship because obviously my parents couldn't afford to pay school fees in the US. And so Ada was like, sure. So she sends me information about schools and she sends me information about the SATs. I then go and find this fat book about the SATs at the British Council in Enugu. I read everything about it. I start prepping myself because nobody around me knew anything about SATs. My parents were like, what? I said, yes, I'm taking SATs. I tell my sister, EJ, I'm taking this thing called SATs. There's a place where you need to
You're doing this all yourself?
Yeah. I'm like, you need to send, I don't know, maybe $25 to this address with my name. That's the thing that will pay for the exam. My sister, they're like, okay. I came to Lagos to take the exam because there was no center near me. And applied to schools that Ada had sent to me. And then, one day my sister, and used my sister's address in New York. And one day she calls me, she's like, there are many letters coming for you. I just opened this one. I said, scholarship. I'm from there. So they actually got maybe 3 or 4 offers.
Oh, really? Mm-hmm. Wow.
And so there was this Drexel in Philadelphia had the best offer. So, because I think my SATs were fairly good. Not as good. I wanted to get a perfect score. So I was actually kind of upset that I didn't. Yeah. I didn't get a perfect score. But, so then when it happened, I remember just feeling, when my sister called to tell me about scholarships, I remember just feeling that sense of shaping your fate. That that you can try. Yeah. And that sometimes it works. I really felt that this is what I'm supposed to do with my life. I was so happy. I was leaving pharmacy. I had a party for all my classmates.
So why did you choose Eastern when you chose it?
No, I went to Drexel because Drexel had the best.
First. Okay.
Drexel had the best offer. And then I ended up graduating from Eastern in Connecticut because my sister moved to Connecticut.
So you transferred?
I transferred.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I transferred.
Okay.
And my nephew, I really moved for family reasons. I wanted to support my sister. I wanted to help raise my nephew. My sister needed the help. She was setting up a practice. America is hard.
America is hard.
Very hard. And my nephew was very young. He was in kindergarten. And my sister's husband was also setting up a practice. So they needed me. And in my family, we're very, we're like that. I name one.
How was it breaking the news to your parents that you were moving?
To the US?
Yes. It was...
Oh, no, they knew that I had passed the SATs. They knew about the scholarship. They were very supportive. Yeah. They were just, I think both, my father, actually both, and my mother, I think they really had, they kind of respected my, I guess...
doggedness.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they did.
It's interesting to know that you actually just took this on your own.
Oh, yeah. Nobody,
to go for it.
Yep. Did the research, did the work, because nice. I wanted to try and make it happen.
Very well done. So, we talked earlier about purple hibiscus in your family, and I know you've got a ton of questions about Americana in your life.
Yeah.
And how that has to be about you.
And it's not.
How much of it is about you?
It's really not.
Because it's interesting. This is literally girl here, Celine. You're talking about okay. I was thinking of okay. Celine.
No, okay, it's not. Please, we're 10 years old. Please. I do not. No. Children should be.
If you've read Americana, you know who Celine is.
I believe that sex should happen between adults.
I don't know what age you were when you're talking about okay.
I'm just saying. No, I told you I was 10.
I'm just joking. So, but how much of Americana is loosely based on you?
No, so from what I've said today and from people who know me, not very much, right? So She goes to the US. Obviously, I go to the US. She's kind of an Americana. I'm really not. She spends much longer in the US before she comes back. I came back to Nigeria after 3.5 years. And then I started doing back and forth. I went back to graduate school. I came back. She's... One of my friends, IK, said to me that his friend read the book, who knows me, and said, you know, this character is kind of her, but without her warmth. And
Ifemelu was colder.
Yes, that's what they said. And I felt bad for Ifemelu because I thought, come on.
I actually liked her.
You know, and again, I think there's a lot to do. There's a lot that's about her being a woman in the way that she's read. If Ifemelu were male and did everything she did, she wouldn't be read in the same way.
Yeah.
Right.
I agree.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah.
So she's, I admire her. I like her a lot. I love love. So the reason that if Americana is a love story,
yeah,
I love love. I'm in love with love.
We'll get to love. So you moved to America, you get your first degree in
in political science,
okay,
in communication and political science.
Why didn't you just go for something writing related?
I didn't want to because I think that studying literature can sometimes stifle your creativity. Okay. So I wanted to learn everything. Okay. Because I already kind of loved books and I read books. So I felt like, I didn't need to.
So you moved back after that for...
I just for a few months, you know, when I graduated from undergrad, I hadn't been back because I couldn't afford to come back. So I came back when I graduated. And, you know, and that was when I had...
Did you come back to settle back in or you just came to visit?
I came back to... Honestly, I did not know what my plan was. I think my family, they were looking at me like, okay.
So what's now?
Where are you going to find a job? Because we're not clear what you went to do in America. You left medicine. I think I was writing. So here's the thing. When I was in school, undergrad, I was taking care of my nephew. And I was writing. So I really had a full...
Purple Hibiscus.
Yes, I wrote a very bad novel before Purple Hibiscus.
Where is
fat.
it?
It's not your business. So...
Are you ever going to give it?
Never. It was terrible. But, you know, sometimes you have to write out the crap before you write the thing that
honestly need to read this. No, I feel like I'm not going to rest until...
It cannot happen. And it's there. My sister jokes and she tells me, I need to annoy her.
She will just...
She said, yeah. She's like, that manuscript is in my basement. Anything you annoy me, I'll bring it out and show people. It wasn't a very good book. And the reason it wasn't really is because it wasn't honest. I was being fake because I had looked in the bookstore and I saw that all the books that were being published by people who were not American were sort of... They all had a kind of immigrant, comes to America and everything is fine narrative. So I just copied that. I just made them Nigerian instead of Indian or Chinese. Yeah. And it was terrible. And I sent it out to publishers and they all rejected it. Yeah. And initially I thought, imagine, they didn't want to publish me. This is my wonderful book. And now I'm so grateful that they didn't because it wasn't a very good book. But anyway, so the point I'm making is that in undergrad, I didn't really have an exciting undergrad experience because I was busy taking care of my nephew and writing. So I didn't do bars.
So you didn't have a social life.
I know, I didn't, yeah. So the sort of, and really I think for Americans, for college students, and remember I was a bit older, so I was 19. For them it's to go to bars and drink and pass out. And for me that was just a waste of time.
Were you as hot as you were in Nsukka?
What do you mean hot?
With boys.
Da, 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 doop, doop. We shall move on from the subject now. We don't want to talk about it anymore.
I'm talking from a cultural perspective.
Oh, you're saying being black.
Being black, being African.
Ah, okay.
Did you feel a difference with sort of attention when you moved there?
Okay, so because that question is a bit more intellectual, I will answer it.
Me. I know where to
from Nitra. You can't one copy next school. But, I think it's a bit unfair because I didn't really have the kind of social life in the US. No, really.
Like you had it in Nsukka.
Yes. So classes, and I picked my classes. There's some classes I wanted to take, but I couldn't because I had to be home with my nephew.
Yeah.
And then I would stay up writing until like 1 a.m. So, yes, there were admirers.
Yeah. But you didn't have time for it.
So
did you go through 3 years without a relationship?
Oh, I had a boyfriend.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what you're asking.
Did he become your husband or was that an ex? Okay.
No. I find that... but anyway, I think Drexel wasn't really... Yeah. So Drexel had an African students community, which I was very much a part of. So that was fun. That was nice. I had friends.
Which family was a part of as well?
Yeah, she wasn't she? Yeah. I had...
Just pointing that out.
No, I've borrowed... No, but I've said to you that, I borrow from my life, but Ifemelu's trajectory is not mine. If anything, I'm actually Obinze. Since you're really looking for... Yes. I'm a lot more Obinze than I am Ifemelu. And Obinze's... So Ifemelu grows up in Lagos in a lower middle class house. That's not me at all. Obinze, I've borrowed from my life to write Obinze's life, and kind of Obinze's, the way Obinze questions the world. That's me. Ifemelu doesn't really like reading. That's not me.
True.
But anyway, African students, that was fun. I had friends from Zimbabwe, lovely people. But then when I went to Eastern, and I didn't date anybody at Drexel. When I went to Eastern, oh no, that's not true. There was a brief period of a.
Yeah, you can see you picturing him. Was he Nigerian? African? American? Okay. Does he know?
That?
Have you seen him?
No, we're not in touch.
Okay.
No, what I realized, and I found it a bit surprising, is that I got a lot more attention in the US from white men.
Oh, okay. Did you know why?
My best friend said to me that it's because I don't have wide hips.
Don't kill me, please.
She's like, when they see you, they behave like no. Actually, it was another guy who said to me, they look at you like you're. And this is a dear friend of mine, an African American guy, who said this to me at a thing we went to. He's like, they look at you like you're a steak and they're hungry.
Wow.
And he was not happy about this. So there's that, and it's an understandable thing, a kind of racial protectiveness. So we were at a writers sort of thing, not just writers, but a creative thing. Anyway, one summer, like a festival.
Yeah.
And so he's like, oh my God, they're all looking at you like you're a steak. And I'm like, Uncle, where are your brothers now?
Bring them if you're so hurt.
I know, right? But also, it was a very white space. I think that's part of it.
Yeah.
Right? I think if I had gone to a black college, probably I'm guessing it would have been different. I don't know.
So, but boys were not a distraction per se.
Boys have never been a distraction because I know exactly what I'm doing.
Boom.
No, they've never been. I'm very clear-eyed about what I want to do, and I want to write. I've always had an incredible sense of ambition, and I've always been willing to work for it. But at the same time, if love happens, it's fantastic. But I'm not going to sort of move away from what I imagine to be my life's goal. So
let's just wrap up with your favorite topic. Can you guess what it is?